Get that going. We'll record it and we will be sure to share this with all of you after. So we'll get that started. I'll start by just welcoming everyone. My name is Sarah Dorner and I'm with the University of New Hampshire Franklin Pierce School of Law. This webinar is brought to you by the Boston area LL.M Consortium. And so we're really pleased to be offering this presentation for the second time this year, but at a different time of day. So hoping we can find times that meet our global audience. So thank you for being here with us this evening. We're going to talk with you about how to make your application to US LL.M programs stand out. But before we do that, what we'll do is we'll start sharing the slide deck. And then each of the presenters who is here this evening will just take a quick moment to introduce themselves and let you know which school they're with. Okay. And Michelle, the slides look great. All right. So Michelle, if you actually want to start and just, do you want to introduce yourself?
That's right. I'm first up here. Hello, everyone. I'm Michelle Lathwell, and I'm the Director of Admissions at Boston University School of Law in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Marr, and I'm the Director of International and Graduate Admissions at Northeastern University School of Law, also in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Hodges. I'm the Assistant Director of Graduate Admissions at the University of Connecticut School of Law, and we are located in Hartford, Connecticut.
Hi, my name is Bridget Sandusky. I am the Assistant Dean of Graduate Law Programs at Suffolk Law School, which is located in downtown Massachusetts, Boston, Massachusetts.
And hello again, I'm Sarah Dorner. I am the Assistant Dean for Graduate Admissions and International Outreach at the University of New Hampshire Franklin Pierce School of Law. We're kind of the next state over from Massachusetts, and we are New Hampshire's only law school.
And hi there, Lauren Badams. I'm here from Vermont Law and Graduate School, and I'm an online admissions counselor working with master's and LL.M students.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. And so I will just to give you a high-level overview of what we'll be talking about this evening. So I will start by talking about how to go about searching for LL.M programs, and then we'll move into how to go about applying to the programs. And then we'll talk in a little bit more detail about some of the specific items you'll need for your application. So we'll cover letters of recommendation in your resume, writing your personal statement, the need for official transcripts and the evaluation process, and then English language proficiency requirements. We are happy for this to be an interactive presentation, so absolutely invite you to leave your questions in the chat. We will do our best to, try to answer them as we go, and then we'll certainly save time at the end as well. And then at the very end, once we've concluded our presentation, we'll share just a little bit more about each of our schools and our programs, and then we'll move into breakout rooms so that you can have a chance to speak with us one-on-one about our programs and see if our school is the right fit for you. And we can also share a little bit more of the details about our specific application requirements, because as you'll probably hear this evening, the requirements can vary a little bit from school to school. All right, so with that, we'll jump in. So I'll start with just some tips for how you can go about searching for LL.M programs in the US. And so really what we have listed here for you is just a list of online resources that you can consult. So the Law School Admissions Council, LSAC, maintains the directory of LL.M programs. So that is a really great place to start. And as part of that, you can also sign up for their free candidate referral service, where you can indicate what some of your interests might be if you have specific areas of interest. And then schools can contact you directly to share a little bit more about their program. So if you haven't already registered for that, that's a great place to begin. And then there is also the American Bar Association, or the ABA. They also maintain some listings of LL.M programs, and you can search by school if you know what school you're looking for and just want to learn more about their specific programs. And you can also search by category. So for example, if you're looking for a tax law LL.M or intellectual property or maritime law, you can search for schools that would have those different programs. Many of you might be familiar with LL.M Guide. That's another great resource where many schools will post a high-level profile about their school and the different programs. And so that's a great place to search. More and more, I think students are turning to LinkedIn as well. It's a great way to get a sense of the alumni from each school and where they live, what type of law they're practicing, and to even reach out to learn a little bit about their personal experience. I would add that most schools are also really happy to help connect you with their current students and recent graduates, but LinkedIn can be a fantastic resource. Education USA is an organization through the Department of State, and they have advisors throughout the world that are really trained in helping students who are interested in attending school in the US at all different degree levels. But they can be a phenomenal resource to support you with how to go about finding schools, application process, even reviewing your personal statements. And many of Education USA centers will host webinars with schools in the US, and some of them will even host LLM fairs in their country. So they're a great resource as well. And I can put a link in the chat to help you find an advising center near you. So I'll put that in the chat a little bit later. Of course, attending virtual events like this is a great way to learn about the different programs that are out there. And then US News and World Report. So many people have turned to US News and World Report for the rankings. Last year in the US, a number of law schools decided to suspend their participation in the rankings, but they are still being ranked. And so I think what I would say is that the rankings can be helpful information, but they don't tell the complete story. So while it might be helpful to gain some information from this resource, definitely continue to do some additional research after consulting US News and World Report to learn a little bit more about the details of each school and their programs. And then, of course, all of our schools have our own websites. Most will have a place where you can fill out a form to request more information or find contact information for the admissions counselors. And we strongly encourage you to do that. We are here to help. We are happy to speak with you and answer your questions. So please don't be shy about reaching out. That's what we're here for. And we're happy to chat with you about our programs and get you connected, as I said before, with students and alumni if you want to connect with someone else who's already been through the program. All right, with that, I will turn it over to the next presenter to talk about the application process for LLM programs.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Next slide, please. So now you know how to search and find the right fit of which LLM program is going to be the best for you. It really is one of the #1 questions that I always get when meeting with potential applicants is this the right time for me to go and pursue an LLM degree? And I always tell them that it's a really personal decision. So what's right for one person might not be right for another person. So all of us will have individuals that will apply immediately, sort of upon graduation, completing their first degree in law. And then we'll have others that will come after practicing for a number of years to come to our LLM program. So it really is a personal decision. Next, you're going to want to get organized like any good attorney, and making sure that the law degree that you currently have is going to make you eligible to pursue an LLM degree in the United States. So one of the best places that you can look to have some additional information that will be listed by individual country is using this link from LSAC. And it will say for each individual country, LSAC is going to require you to submit X documents and you have to have this credential. That is a starting point. So for some of us, we may make other and different decisions than what LSAC makes as their decisions, but it will give you a general idea. And then, of course, if you have additional questions, always reach out to one of us or any of the schools that you're hoping to apply to for further clarification. And then not all schools require LSAC. So many of us do, or we have it at least as sort of a strongly recommended option. But if you are encountering specific problems or issues, it might not hurt to outreach to the school to see if maybe there's an alternative. Sometimes there is, and sometimes there's not for very good reasons. Next slide, please. And so for those of us that require LSAC, it really makes it actually quite much easier for you as an applicant because you're submitting all of your documentation one time. And then you're directing to I want you to send this information to this school and to that school. So instead of you having to secure official documents and official transcripts and sending them out to, half a dozen schools, you're really just putting all of your application materials into that portal site. And you're going to follow their directions. You're going to utilize the electronic application, document assembly service. Many of us will be using the authentication service, which will evaluate your transcript and let us know what is the equivalent of your degree, perhaps your grading scale, vis-a-vis to the grading scale that we have here and using in the United States. And then many of us are going to charge a law and application fee, and those are going to range. But here's a hint. Many of us are very happy to provide you an application fee waiver. So always feel free to, say, can I get an application fee waiver? And most of us are very, very happy to provide those to you as applicants to our programs. Next slide, please. And then lastly, so once you've selected the schools that you want to apply to in LSAC and you submit them, now we know the hardest part is happening, is you're waiting for decisions. And so rest assured that we are all behind the scenes working very hard to enable to get you out the decisions as soon as we possibly can. We know that that's a really challenging time, and you're nervous and anxious awaiting the final decisions from all of us. So we are doing our very best to get those out to you. And then if you are encountering any problems, if you're using the LSAC platform, really the best solution for tech problems is to contact LSAC's LLM department. So I list their hours and their phone number there, as well as their contact information via email. They're really quite responsive and very helpful. So that I will turn on to my next presenter.
Awesome, thank you. So I'll be covering letters of recommendation and resume. So what's cool about your letter of recommendations they're coming from individuals who probably served as mentors or important individuals throughout the development of your career, academically and professionally, maybe. So it's kind of an outside view of you and what makes you such a strong candidate. And then the resume is sort of your turn to kind of walk through all of the experiences that you bring as a professional to a graduate program like this. So I'll go through a few questions that I think will be important to ask. Really, who should write a letter of recommendation? That's an important one. So my advice there is that you're asking someone who knows you well, and really the qualities that you possess that are going to make you a strong candidate, and really what you bring as a scholar. So if possible, those ideally could be academic in nature, but for some, maybe they've been working for a number of years. Maybe those recommendations are more professional in nature rather than from sort of an undergraduate degree. I think also sort of an important question here is maybe who not to ask. So really, I think choosing someone who you have a close connection with, who knows you and your work well, and the drive and the passion that you have to continue your education. I would choose someone who knows you better over someone who has a very distinguished title and perhaps you haven't had a lot of personal connections with, or maybe that you have even had them in class or gotten to know them much, or for them to get to know you, because this letter of recommendation really should be as personal as possible and tailored to the skills that you have and really the experiences that you've learned from and taken away from throughout your career. And giving them plenty of time is helpful so that they can really write a glowing review. That can be a really strong element of your application. And then I sort of covered what your letter of recommendation should say, with the qualities that you possess and the passion and drive that you that you bring. And we've also kind of covered academic versus employer recommendations. Personally, for Vermont Law and Graduate School, we have a minimum of 2 letters of recommendation, but you can have up to 4. Ideally, 2 of those would be academic, and perhaps the second might be through a professional reference, or maybe even an extracurricular type skill activity that you bring. And then resume, that is like I'm saying, something that you're really outlining and walking through all of these pieces that have led up to this next step in your academic career. So keep it professional, focus on both academic, community, and volunteer work. Those are really something important to show that these this focus that you have to bring bring about change in communities, either locally or in larger spaces, that hopefully can come through in your experiences. And absolutely bringing to light things like promotions and other accomplishments. This is a way to sort of humbly brag about the amazing things you're bringing to your application. Skills like multiple languages, and I know Dean Katie Merrill of Vermont Law and Graduate School is not able to join us tonight. She loves hearing about your hobbies and what you love to do outside of the classroom. That brings so much color to your application. So if you can share more about yourself, that just helps the reviewers get to know you better. And yeah, really listing all of the things that that you've accomplished and that you've been working on can really help paint a very vivid picture for a review committee. And with that, I will pass it along to talk about personal statements next.
Hello, everyone. So the personal statement is something I think a lot of people really are hesitant about. It's not easy because it's a short piece of writing that we're hoping will a lot of information will be relayed in that writing, right? We want to try and get to know you a little bit better, what your goals are, your aspirations, why you're applying for the school and to that specific program. So it's really important that you write it yourself, first of all, because it's about you and you know yourself the best. So it makes sense for you to write it. I know that right now, Chat GPT and AI is something that a lot of people are looking into to help them with their essays, but you really should avoid that, and write write it yourself so that your own voice can come through. It's perfectly fine to have someone look over your writing and help you check for maybe grammatical errors and just to make sure that it makes sense. So it's fine to have someone review it, and I suggest that you do it, but make sure it's your own work. And as I said, the content is often, what are you trying to do? Why are you pursuing this goal? I mean, some schools may have very specific questions, and you should then pay attention to that question and answer that question. But I think a lot of us are looking to find this out from your personal statement. So this will also show that you've done some research and that you know that this is the school that has something that will help you achieve your goals. We like, because we're human, to hear some personal stories too about some specifics of uh, that will really highlight things about you or challenges that you have overcome or just help explain something a little bit more. So for example, if you had a really amazing internship or your work experience so far has now led you to want to take the next step, like what was it? Was it a certain case that you worked on? Was it the fact that you couldn't help a client that you really wanted to help? Tell a little bit of that story, and that makes it a little more interesting for us to read as well. And then challenges overcome. The reason we like to see that is because this is a big undertaking, especially if you're going to come from another country, move to the US, and so on. So if you've already had some challenges in your life, then you have the skills, hopefully, then to to make that move, and to undertake these studies, these LLM studies, and you have the grit, the perseverance, and the determination to see it through, and that's why we ask for challenges overcome. It doesn't have to be what you choose to write about, but if you do have something, that might be an interesting story for you. And try to not just tell us things that are already in your application. So we don't want you to tell us everything on your resume, because we can look at your resume, but you can pick something off of there and expand it and tell us something more about it. Or you can pick something in your academic life, or that you want to explain a little bit more. But this is very precious space for you to talk directly to the admissions committee. Some schools will have interviews, and so you might have a chance to talk to them then, but many schools do not have an interview. So this is going to be your opportunity for the admissions committee members to really kind of get to know you a little bit more than beyond just what your numbers and the where you worked and what you studied. So it brings brings it to life a little bit and helps us to understand how you're going to fit into our student body. So that's my advice for you, and good luck everyone writing those statements. We'll move on to the next topic.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm going to talk about official transcripts and evaluation process. Next slide. So like many other application components, how you submit your transcripts and how you submit your transcripts are going to vary by law school and LLM program. So you want to make sure that you understand the specific requirements for the programs that you're applying to. In general, though, LLM programs require that applicants submit transcripts from all university level coursework. So that includes undergraduate and graduate degrees. The transcript should generally include all courses, credits, and grades or marks. If you earned a degree from an institution, then you would also need to submit evidence of degree completion and date of degree conferral. So basically just the university's confirmation that you have, in fact, earned a degree from that school. You can submit this evidence through a diploma or a certificate of degree completion. Sometimes if this is degree conferral and date are on your transcript, some programs will accept that in lieu of a diploma or degree certificate. But again, that's going to depend by program. And then finally, if you transcripts were not issued in English, then you will need to also provide a translation of your transcripts along with the original copies. And again, you want to double check with the program as to what their specific requirements are around translations. Does it need to be certified? Is there any specific processes that they want you to complete when submitting that translation? Now, again, how you should submit your transcripts are going to depend on whether you're applying through LSAC, whether you're applying directly to that LLM program, if that is an option for that program. And then again, with the specific requirements of the law school. So first, LSAC has a very specific process for submitting academic records. So if you're applying through LSAC, you're going to want to check with their specific process. For LSAC, applicants need to request academic records from each of the institutions that they have attended, and then their schools will send their official documentation directly to LSAC. And then LSAC will not accept any documentation that's been issued to a student. It must be sent from the institution. So keep that in mind when, if you decide to apply through LSAC. If you're applying directly to an LLM program, each program might have some different requirements or process to submit your transcripts. Some programs may accept unofficial transcripts, so scanned copies of your transcripts, for the purpose of evaluating your application for admission. So you would submit a copy of your transcript with your application. If you're admitted, then you would be required to submit those official transcripts from your institution if you before you matriculate. So what's the difference between an unofficial and an official transcript? So in general, a transcript is considered official if it is sent directly from the institution to the LLM program, and it typically includes a university seal and signature of the registrar or some similar authority at the institution. If it's a copy received from the applicant or received directly from the applicant, it's generally considered unofficial. There are some exceptions there. For example, if you have an authenticated copy, or if you have official transcripts already in a sealed envelope, those may be accepted. Again, those exceptions are going to vary by LLM program. So you just want to confirm that with the specific law school. So some LLM programs actually most LLM programs do require that your transcripts be evaluated by a credential evaluation service. So what this does is it just tells, they evaluate your academic documents, and it provides information as to whether or not your degree is equivalent to a law degree, a bachelor's degree, and what your degree equivalency and US GPA is. So if the program that you're applying to either requires or encourages a credential evaluation, if you're applying directly, you can contact or go work with a credential evaluation service such as World Education Services or Education Credential Evaluators. You would send them your academic documents, and then they would authenticate the documentation. They would issue the evaluation report, and then they would send it to the law schools that you're applying to. If your LLM program, the one that you're applying to, does not have a recommendation or a requirement for a credential evaluation service to use, a great resource is the National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. They list their member agencies on their website with contact information, and that's a great place to start if you're looking to reach out to a credential evaluation service to have your documents evaluated. If you are applying through LSAC, LSAC offers applicants the International Transcript Authentication and Evaluation Service, and Bridget mentioned that earlier. And LSAC has their own credential evaluator that all documentation that's sent to them is evaluated by their evaluator. And it is the report is then included in your CAS report when it's sent to the law schools that you're applying to. LSAC does not accept credential evaluations from outside agencies such as WES and ECE. So if you're applying through LSAC, they will evaluate your transcripts for you. And now I will turn it over to my next colleague.
Great. So now I'll be talking a bit about English language proficiency requirements. So, of course, your first question is, are language proficiency tests required for LLM admissions? And the answer to this question is generally yes. So, as you know, English language proficiency is a very important part of success in a US-based LLM program. Part of what makes the US law environment so attractive and engaging for international students is that it's a highly interactive environment. So you'll be expected to participate regularly in class, which means that you'll be listening to and responding to your professors. In addition, as you know from being law students, there's a large amount of reading and writing that's involved in any law school program. So it's really important that admissions officers know that you'll be able to succeed in this environment. So the requirements for English language proficiency vary by program and by school. So you'll definitely want to check program websites and speak with admissions officers. Perhaps today you could ask us questions in our breakout rooms for their most up-to-date requirements on English proficiency tests. So some of the most commonly accepted tests include the TOEFL test, the IELTS, the PTE or the Pearson test of English and the Duolingo English test. But as I mentioned, not all schools will accept all of these tests. So you want to make sure that you choose a English proficiency test that will be accepted at all of the schools that you're applying to. So you can take one test and send it to all of the programs that you're interested in. In addition, you'll want to look at the minimum scores required for each school. So there will be different minimum scores depending on which program and school that you're applying to. Oftentimes these are similar, but they can vary a bit. So you definitely want to check on that and make sure that you're preparing for the score required for your programs of interest. Some schools may also have a time limit within which they wanted you to take your English test. For example, you must have taken it within the past 3 years. So you'll want to make sure that your test is current. And there are a few other things to keep in mind. So a lot of people ask about English proficiency waivers. So yes, many schools offer waivers of the English proficiency requirement, especially, for example, if your native language is English. So that could be defined as a language that you've used to communicate since childhood. And in many cases, schools will waive your English proficiency based on that fact. Once again, though, this does vary from program to program, so definitely check in with your admissions officers. There can be other reasons that English proficiency tests may be waived. These could include, for example, the language of instruction for your first law degree was in English. Sometimes it could include that you have completed a prior academic degree in a higher education institution in the United States. For example, if you did your bachelor's studies in the United States, or perhaps you've completed a course or a certificate at an English language institute that's affiliated with the school that you're applying to. These are just different examples of ways that English proficiency may be waived, but again, they're by no means universal, so check with your programs about which they may accept. A few other things that you may be wondering. So how to submit an English proficiency waiver or score. Generally, this is all outlined as part of the application directions for your program. So if you're applying through LSAC, there should be a waiver form that may be associated with the school that you're applying for, and you can fill it out as part of your application. Or if your school offers a direct application platform or process, they will let you know how to fill out their waiver. Likewise, with submitting the test itself, if you're applying through LSAC, the tests must be sent, the score reports must be sent directly from the testing institution or the testing service to LSAC. So paper copies of your scores are not permitted through LSAC. So you'll want to make sure to check the LSAC website or to get in touch with the help desk number that was put earlier on a slide to ask LSAC how you can best submit your scores. And it varies depending on the TOEFL test or the IELTS test. If your school offers direct applications, they may be able to accept a paper copy of your score reports, so do check with them. And then finally, since the topic of this presentation was how to make your LLM application stand out, I think it bears saying that the better your English proficiency scores, the more your LLM application will stand out. So before you take your test, definitely think about preparing for it and making sure that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed at the English proficiency test that you're taking. If you're applying for competitive scholarships like a Fulbright, for example, oftentimes the English language proficiency score is part of that application and decision process as well. So it's a way that you can distinguish yourself through scholarships and through your applications. When you go to prepare for your tests, there are many places where you can find resources to do so. Many of these tests have their own free online resources that you can start with some sample questions that you may wish to take. We mentioned Education USA earlier in this presentation. Most Education USA centers will have resources on preparing for English language tests. So do ask your Education USA officers their advice on how to prepare for your tests. And if you're currently located in the United States, public libraries are a great place to find resources to prepare for English language tests. So with that, I believe that concludes our presentation.
Thanks, Sarah. I noticed that there were actually a couple of questions in the chat related to English language proficiency. I think your presentation addressed those questions. What I would say is for the people who asked those questions, if you're still feeling unclear, definitely come into our breakout rooms, because depending on the school that you're interested in, it might be a different answer since that's such a specific question. So I would encourage you to reach out to the schools directly. What we'll do now is, before we open the breakout rooms, is each of us will introduce our school very briefly, just so you have a sense of the types of LLM programs we offer. And then from there, we'll open the breakout rooms. So while we start that, I would still, if there's more general questions that you have, we're happy to answer them here as a group, or you can come to the different breakout rooms and speak with each of the representatives. Okay, so I'll turn it back over to I think maybe what we'll do is, in the same order we introduced ourselves, we can introduce our school. So Michelle, do you want to start first?
Sure. As I mentioned earlier, I'm at Boston University School of Law, and it's located in Boston, Massachusetts. We have 5 different LLM programs. We have an LLM in American Law, which is our general LLM that's good for people who want to take a variety of classes in a lot of different areas. It's only for foreign lawyers. We also have some specialty LLM programs. So we have an LLM in banking and financial law, an LLM in taxation, and an LLM in intellectual property. And then we have a 5th LLM, which is a 2-year LLM program, which you will receive one of those LLMs that I just mentioned, but it gives you an additional year of some English language and orientation and foundations of the U.S. Legal system. So it's a wonderful program that also allows you to perhaps, it gives you more time so that you could do an internship or take some more bar-related courses, or just gives you more room, but it's a 2-year program. We have a large LLM program where there are LLM only classes, and there's also integration with the JD coursework. So we have about 250 LLM students, both online and in person. And please come to my breakout room and I can tell you more about the school. And my next colleague can introduce themselves.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm Megan from Northeastern Law, and that is also located in Boston. Northeastern offers a general LLM, as well as concentrations in intellectual property and innovation, international business law, human rights and economic development, and health policy and law. And Northeastern also offers its LLM students the opportunity to participate in what we call co-op. It's cooperative legal education program. And students would spend 1 semester of their LLM program working full-time in a professional legal setting, either with a judge, an attorney at a law firm, a community organization, in-house counsel, doing substantive legal work. So it's a unique opportunity to get hands-on practical experience as part of your LLM degree. And I will now turn it over to my next colleague.
Hi, everyone. Once again, my name is Sarah Hodges. I'm from the University of Connecticut School of Law, or UConn School of Law for short. We're located in Hartford, Connecticut, so we are directly in between Boston and New York City, about 2 hours from each, in the state of Connecticut. We have 5 LLM programs. Like my colleagues, we have a general LLM, which is our LLM in U.S. legal studies. It is for foreign trained attorneys, and it's our most flexible LLM, where you can choose the courses that are most suited to your interests and your goals, as well as prepare for a U.S. bar exam. We have 4 specialized LLMs. These are in energy and environmental law, human rights and social justice, governance, risk management, and compliance, and then insurance law. And as you may or may not know, Hartford is the capital of insurance for the United States, so we benefit from many industry connections in the area and have one of the only insurance law programs in the country. We have a very small, tight-knit campus environment. There's about 60 students in our LLM program at any given time, and we have a 5-to-1 student-faculty ratio. So students who come to our program really benefit from a close interaction with their classmates as well as the faculty here. So I'd love to speak with you more in my breakout room in a little bit.
I think I'm up next. Bridget Sandusky. I am from Suffolk Law School in Boston, Massachusetts. Our oldest LLM program is an LLM in Global Law and Technology, and that dates back to 2002. And what makes that program really unique is it offers a variety of different specializations that you can earn within the LLM degree itself: international law and business, intellectual property and information technology law, biotechnology and health law, as well as a US law and legal methods specialization. Then, like many of my colleagues, we have a general LLM, so your traditional Master of Laws, which is completely customizable with a lot of personal one-on-one advising and guidance that you receive. We have an LLM in taxation, which is primarily geared toward our JD students because of its unique structure. So if you are on an international student visa, it doesn't qualify as a full-time program, but if you're already residing here, it could be a really interesting option. And then we have a Master's of Science in Law, Life Sciences. So not strictly an LLM, but it is a graduate law program and quite unique because it is interdisciplinary. It is STEM approved, allowing you up to 3 years of optional practical training, and you would have classes in law, business, and science. And then we have a pathway program in which, if you do need some additional assistance with English language, you would take law courses at the same time as some English language courses. And those pathway programs are either 1 semester or 2 semesters, so would extend out a traditional LLM program to 1.5 to 2 years. And then I will mention that we do offer a Doctor of Juridical Science for those students who are interested in pursuing a PhD in law after they complete their LLM degree. And I hope you come and learn more about Suffolk.
Hi again, I'm Sarah Dorner with the University of New Hampshire Franklin Pierce School of Law. It's always so interesting to hear about all these different programs. It just highlights just how many opportunities there are out there for you. So do come to the different breakout rooms or email us and we can share more. But high level for me, as I mentioned earlier, we are New Hampshire's only law school. We're located in the state capital of Concord. It is not a big city, so it's like more of a residential area. We're about 1 hour north of Boston. So our students say it's a great place to come because they can really get involved at the law school and in the local community, focus on their studies, but then still have access to Boston when they want to access Boston. And we're about 4 hours by bus from New York City. All of our LLM programs are specialized. Our LLM program started, our earliest graduates are from the early 90s with a focus on intellectual property law. Since then, we've also have an LLM in commerce and technology law. And then we have a fully online LLM in international criminal law and justice. And as Bridget had mentioned, similarly, we have master's degrees in addition to the LLM in all of those same subject areas. So though our programs are specialized for our in-person students, there is still a pathway for US bar exam eligibility, and we do have some supports in place for that. I always like to highlight our career services office. They work really closely with our LLM students to support them in their next steps after the LLM and are just a tremendous resource for our students. And I actually do have a student who's here with us tonight just to help if we needed some movement between the breakout rooms. So certainly he's happy to speak with you as well, and he'll probably pop into my breakout room if you want to connect with him directly. And then I think Lauren.
Thanks. Yeah, Lauren Badams, Vermont Law and Graduate School. So we are located in South Royalton, Vermont, tucked in the Green Mountains. A pretty gorgeous place to study. So we have an LLM in American Legal Studies, and then we offer a variety of environmentally focused LLMs in environmental law, also in energy law, animal law, and food and agriculture law. And all of those four that I just mentioned are available on campus and online. And happy to talk more about any of those with you in the breakout session. Thanks.
I'm going to open up the breakout rooms now. I did notice that there was a question that came in that might be helpful before we move into the rooms. So this person says, aside from the jobs that they already know of that you can get after an LLM, can we speak to the benefits of getting an LLM degree in addition to an American JD degree? So I don't know if any of my colleagues want to take that first. That's a great question. I can start and say that I think a little bit might depend on your long-term goals. What I would offer is that for students from outside the US who are looking to stay in the US and practice law, the JD degree is the preferred degree of law here in the United States. Having an LLM after the JD can be really great. You wouldn't really need the general LLM at that point, because that's, the JD will give you that foundational knowledge and set you up for the bar exam. But if you're looking to specialize in a specific area of the law, that's where a specialized LLM degree could be a good option and help you stand out. In many cases, an LLM degree is preferred for teaching opportunities as well. So I'll start there and just see if any of my colleagues have anything they would want to add to that.
I would just echo what Sarah said about specializing, especially depending on your JD program. You may or may not have had access to some of the specialized areas that we just mentioned that our different LLM programs offer, or you may have not had the opportunity to take those courses due to the different requirements of the JD degree. So taking an LLM is really an opportunity for you to specialize in those courses that you didn't have an opportunity to take and to set yourself apart on the job market if you're looking to specialize in a specific field of law.
And at Boston University, we don't offer this, but an LLM can then be the stepping stone next to like an SJD, or if you want to teach, it can be very helpful to have an LLM and then go on to like the PhD in law or the SJD in law. That has a lot of different names. So if you're looking to be a law professor, it may be helpful to have that LLM as well.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, hopefully we answered that question, but happy to share more in our breakout rooms, and I will go ahead and open them now. And you should be able to move in and out of rooms, but if not, Adarsh, who is an LLM student from Nepal, is here with us this evening, and he's happy to help direct you if you need any help. But otherwise, you are free to join as you wish, and we'll all take a moment to go to our respective rooms.